So this actually gets experienced by all different neurotypes. It not just neurodivergent people. We all have our window of like our zone of resiliency, and anything that happens inside of that, we're cool, we're regulated. Anything that goes outside of that, we have to find ways to bring ourselves back into regulation, back into the zone of regulation, right? And trauma is simply when any stimulus brings us out of that, and at somewhere along the way we can rise above or dip below. When we're talking about like freeze response or something like that, somewhere we get stuck, and that is just what trauma is. And when that happens repeatedly over time, then it makes these like really fundamental changes to our zone of resiliency, and kind of gets us like stuck in these habitual patterns. And that is, correlated to like a bunch of different like stress hormones and things like that as well. It can get really complicated, but the simple thing is that even so, like stimming is, it happens with everyone, whether you're neurodivergent, autistic, ADHD, or not. We all stim to some degree. It's just that neurodivergent, specifically autistic, and ADHD people, we need to stim more frequently, more regularly, because we tend to get knocked out of our zone of resiliency much more often because it's a lot more narrow. And we tend to be in a lot of situations where it's not safe or okay or, appropriate or whatever to stim. And so we find ourselves accumulating trauma because we aren't able to complete that regulatory response to get us back into the window. I hope that makes sense. But the same thing can happen with like a neurotypical or an allistic nervous system. It's just that they have, typically a broader zone.